So you want to be the center act? Then stay tuned for a deck that doesn't like to share the limelight. Hello and welcome to our In the 99 Deck Tech series. I'm Reed and today we're going to be looking at Judith, the Scourge Diva. Judith is a legendary human shaman that costs 1, a black, and a red for a 2/2. The first ability that Judith has is that all other creatures get +1/+0. The second ability is whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Judith, the Scourge Diva, deals 1 damage to any target. To start off, we're going to need a couple of sideshow acts to keep Judith going. Cards like Bloodghast, Blood-Soaked Champion, Flamewake Phoenix, Murderous Redcap, Nether Trader, and Reassembling Skeleton are the perfect additions to our Carnival of Debauchery. We can also turn any creature into a pseudo self-reanimator with Cauldron of Souls. For those creatures that don't quite make the cut, we have a couple of cards to help us along. A reanimator package of Apprentice Necromancer, Doom Necromancer, Hell's Caretaker, and Whisper Blood Liturgist allows us to bring back those acts that have fallen quite too soon. In addition, an Oversold Cemetery, Dread Return, and Nim Deathmantle provide a non-creature way to do this. We are also going to use Garna, the Bloodflame, and Underworld Cerberus to return a large amount of our sideshows that have passed. And Torrent of Souls both acts as a reanimator spell and an anthem to help close out the game. Since we have so much art being performed, we want to be able to abuse these creatures leaving the battlefield and going to the graveyard. So, Grim Horospex and Midnight Reaper will allow us to draw cards when a creature dies, and Smothering Abomination allows us to draw when a creature sacrifices. Hissing Iguanar, Zulaport Cutthroat, and Flare the Hatebound allow us to ping our opponents to death, and Dictate of Erebos allows our opponents to revel in the same pleasures that we do whenever a creature dies. Since we have so many creatures coming back from the graveyard, a Desecrated Tomb will increase our creature count as we mow down our opponents using 2/1 flyers thanks to Judith's first ability. Since not all creatures can reach their full potential themselves, we need a couple of assistance items. Disciple of Bolus and Plague Crafter allow us to sacrifice creatures on entering. Rakdos Right Knife and Skull Clamp allow us to get a benefit from killing the creature. Altar of Dementia provides a secondary option instead of pinging our opponents to death. And then there's a few lands that also provide a sacrifice outlet. Westvale Abbey and High Market, and then of course Phyrexian Tower with its recent reprint. Since Judith allows us to ping any target when one of our creatures dies, we can use cards like Chandra Spitfire and Kazarov Sengir Pureblood to have a strong, powerful creature after using her ability. Silver-clad Ferocitons provides a target of our own to ping to gain additional benefit. The Diva of Rakdos does not like sharing center stage, and so before the final act can go on, we need to get rid of all those pesky interlopers. Onyx Mage, an aspect of the Gorgon, will make Judith's ability lethal. Eternal Thirst and Whip of Erebos allows Judith and a few of our other creatures to gain lifelink. Basilisk Collar does both. We can use supplementary cards like Kumano's Blessing and Scythe of the Wretched to use her ping ability to our advantage. Simply get ping damage in on it before it dies, or have Judith gain Death Touch, and these cards will be great ways to remove your opponent's creatures. Since we need a way to close out the game, and pinging our opponents to death just doesn't cut it sometimes, Judith's first ability, giving +1/+0, is a good standard anthem. We can also increase this by using cards like Rabble-Rouser, Ashen Moor Liege, and then giving our creatures ways to get around our opponent's blockers, like Archetype of Aggression and Pyreheart Wolf. Azer Oddsmaker will allow us to draw off of pitching one of our self-reanimators. What is a Diva without her shiny rocks? We have a bit of mana ramp in this deck, including Felwar Stone, Mind Stone, Rakdos Signet, Soul Ring, Talisman of Indulgence, and then a few creatures that also outramp us in Burnished Heart, Pitiless Plunderer, and Solemn Simulacrum. Myriad Landscape will allow us to gain a little bit of mana ramp off of our lands. We also have a pretty hefty removal package, using the new Bedevil, also Chaos Warp, Fall of the Hammer, Kolgan's Command, Terminate, By Force, Dreadbore, and a board wipe in Chandra's Ignition if Judith has Death Touch. We are running a few tutors. Buried Alive and Final Partings allow us to put our self-reanimators into the graveyard, and Diabolic Intent requires us to sacrifice a creature, which is no problem for us. Here are a few notable utility lands that we can use to our advantage. In addition, Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth is included since most of the deck is black, and Path of Ancestry because it turns out most of the deck has humans in it. Some cards that were intentionally left out. Any card that had to do with Infect, like Grafted Exoskeleton. This is because of a personal taste, not enjoying Infect in games. Death Pits of Wrath is a little bit too risky. It does allow us to ping our opponent's creatures for lethal, but it also allows them to ping our creatures for lethal. Any card that converted damage to -1/-1 counters, like Everlasting Torment, was excluded. This was mainly because it does not interact well with Death Touch or Lifelink. I also avoided Mikaeus the Unhallowed and Ashnod's Altar as they are very easy to combo with, and we are looking at more of a value deck here instead of a solid combo. With this deck, we are really looking to run down our opponents with our Anthem effect and ping them to death if we can't get all the way through. Controlling the board using Judith and Death Touch. If you're interested in seeing this list in a future gameplay video, leave us a message in the comments below. You can always support this channel by joining us on Patreon, where you will gain access to a lot of cool features like special content, community news, and our Discord chat. As always, if you enjoyed this video, give us a like, tell us why, share, and subscribe. And as always, let the show go on.